with everyone, right?
Ye- Yes, yes.
Okay, fine then. So first of all, good evening, everyone. Very warm welcome to you all. So today we are going to have a panel discussion, and the topic for the panel discussion is AI to enterprise value, what it takes for business leaders in manufacturing and financial services. So let me introduce myself. So hi, I am Soumya Mukherjee, and I help business across the globe turn cybersecurity, cloud, data privacy, and AI governance into a growth enabler instead of a roadblock. So I'm basically from the world of cybersecurity and AI governance, and I'm working as a consulting manager over there. So as you know that in today's topic, you know, the AI to enterprise value, what it takes for business leaders in manufacturing and financial services. So we have seen that over the last few years, AI has been, you know, in slide decks, in strategy paper, and there is a lot of buzz around this word AI. Okay, artificial intelligence, it is going to cut the cost, it is going to cut downtime, it is actually helping us to detect fraud in real time, making risk-free decisions better, and also it is going to scale up very quickly. So today we are going to focus on a very real question. How do we turn all of that into a hard business outcome, whether that's higher throughput on the shop floor or better fraud detection and risk decisions in financial services? Also, in the Indian context, we see that simultaneously scaling of digital public infrastructure and competing globally on cost, quality, and compliance. The way we design AI programs can directly impact margins, jobs, and trust. So, in today's conversation, we have a very practical questions. How do we convert all of this experiment, all of these pilot projects, the use cases into a real enterprise value in manufacturing as well as in financial services, where stakes are very high with high efficiency, risk, and compliance is very much needed. So, having said that, on our topic today, let me introduce you to our panelists, Riddhi Dua and Wasim Akram Sheikh. So, Riddhi is having 15 years of experience in the investment banking sector, having held key technology roles at global financial institutions including Goldman Sachs and Bank of America. She has built large-scale technology systems that process billions of transactions daily, focused on detecting high-risk client conversations and transactions to combat the financial crime hidden within the massive data volume. Currently, she is working as an independent technology and AI consultant. She is helping business turn AI data and software investment into actionable insights and operational effectiveness, drawing on her experience sign, across products, compliance, operation, design, and leadership. She holds a master's degree in computer science from the University of North Carolina and bachelor's in computer engineering from Pune University. Now let me introduce you to Wasim Akram Sheikh. So Wasim is a partner at ZBT Consulting Private Limited, having around 12 years of experience in the operational excellence and business transformation and cost optimization across multiple industry. He is an engineering graduate from IIT Kanpur. He specializes in building enterprise data maturity and data to decision systems, structuring shop floor and supply chain data, harmonizing KPI, and enabling analytics driven decision making. He has delivered over 100 core in EBITDA improvement opportunities through capacity utilization and process transformation, led AI relevant initiatives such as procurement intelligence and spend analytics, and driven large scale operational excellence and cost reduction program, including organizational redesign and sourcing optimization. Now that we have introduced, I would take this opportunity for our panelists Riddhi and Wasim to share few, like introduction of points over here before we start with our panel Q&A.
Sure. Thank you, Soumya, for such a lovely introduction. I'm very excited to be here. I think these are exciting times, also nervous times, but at the same time, I think there's massive potential. It's about how we use AI, how we take that to our advantage. And um, I believe it's still a software tool, humans at the center of it. And I think there is a lot of scope and potential, and we should embrace it that way.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you so
Soumya.
much. Yeah, Wasim, go ahead. Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for giving us the opportunity to discuss on this very important topic. I think it is getting relevant every day, like day by day, we are seeing new updates. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about in like manufacturing how we can help businesses and what should the businesses do in these times wherein we are seeing a lot of uncertainty as well around it. Of course, the productivity gains and other things that AI is capable, and day by day it is getting like more capability. So let's just have a discussion. Yeah.
Sure.
Thanks.
So now let us start our, like a panel discussion. So we have heard a lot of buzzwords on AI, and we have very good panel with experts from financial services as well as from manufacturing. So let us start with the biggest, like the misconceptions that is actually present today in the enterprises. And when, like when we go for any strategy meet with any business leader, they all have that particular question, is that we have so much of, like pilot use cases, right? How do we move from pilot to enterprise scale value? How do we use AI in enterprise that can scale and that can be a value addition? So Wasim, if you can take up from the manufacturing, followed by Riddhi on financial services.
Yeah. So the use cases are, of course, a lot of use cases are there. So it is very hard for someone who is running a business. The core business is something else, and the technology, building a technology is some other task. Basically, how do they focus in on which of the areas they need to implement sort of AI and getting business value out of it, thereby like increasing the enterprise value. So if you remember, like we have been talking about in the manufacturing field, like industry 4.0, like it will change everything, right? The decisions will be taken by the system itself. Like it will capture the data, and so we thought like it will change everything. But when we go around the manufacturings in India, we see like a lot of things we are doing. In fact, the majority of the things that we are doing still manual, right? So
Yes.
the buzz happens a lot of time, but it takes a lot of challenge and effort to really harness the value out of any new technological advancement. So the majority of it comes around the ROI, like how do we get maximum return through the technology that we are going to implement, right? So whatever the initiative that we are going to take up, the first misconception is this only, like we whatever comes up, we try to implement them in our organization, in our scenario, basically. Like in fact, in most of the cases we put more of a lot of effort, but we are not going to get a lot of value that the in the proportionate value, basically. So biggest misconception from my perspective is this: like you need to see what all bottlenecks you have in your business, and around that first, so you need to know your business basically first, and you need to know that what all bottlenecks are there, that because of which you are not able to grow, right? Or you want to grow in certain areas, but what are the hurdles or the constraint that you are hitting always, right? So first one is this, and second one, I would say, like, the FOMO that you have because some of your friends are talking about it, right? It is not necessary that those use cases would generate value for your business, right? So, and also third thing is over here is that right now in some of the areas the AI capability is not there, that wherein the accuracy, we have not reached to that accuracy level, right? Probably the right now the focus area in this AI world is probably the coding area, wherein whatever the data or the operations or the algorithm all have been stored in the data centers across the timeline of this software development, web development over the internet. So it was far easier them to train the model and generate a very accurate model out of it. Wherein in the case of manufacturing, the data is not there, the data maturity has been very poor even after the implementation of the ERP in various of the organization, even the larger ones, which are listed over the BSE, NSE, right? Even in those organizations, the ERP utilization, the functionality utilization is around maybe 20 to 40%, more driven from the compliance perspective. So the financials reporting the compliance for which we need data, and that's why we need ERP. That has been the uh, that has been the sort of implementation goal for ERP, or minimum criteria for the ERP implementation, and that remains throughout the organization because the productivity improvement uh, comes later after the compliance. That's what the organization thinks, right? And so other thing is, like, you have to take a balanced approach. You need not to think from the extreme perspective, wherein then that you need to implement AI everywhere in every of your function, right? it is it is a far extreme thought process, because it will take a lot of toll of your workload bandwidth, right? And also resources. And the other extreme is, like, again, like every other probably new technology, it will not change much, right? The extreme is other extreme is this. So somewhere between you have to find your balance, and you have to think from your context, because in with respect to AI, even if you put on something on chat GPT, if you don't give it context, it gives you irrelevant sometimes, or maybe generic solution, right? Or maybe the text.
Right. We have the concept of hallucination also, right,
Yes.
in AI. Yeah,
Yes.
giving wrong data. Yeah.
So that's why I say that, like, you need to know your context very well first. You need to know that what all bottlenecks that you are hitting, constraint that you are hitting, and probably build a pilot around those, where in those areas. And in the pilot step, you probably need to build a data maturity over there, so that you can understand your or the model, whatever the model you are going to use, can understand your environment better. And then the other challenges that you are going to face, probably the scalability. Once you probably successful at the pilot scale, there may be a challenges of scalability, wherein the environment will be bigger, so there will be a lot of variables in terms of processes, people, right? So probably the controlled environment, wherein the data was very accurate, may not be the case in the larger, when you roll it out, right? So data quality and the will remain the major challenge in case of scalability. Last but not the least, but the most important one, is the change management part. Everything needs to be driven by the people in the organization, right? They need to really understand what is going on. It is not something which is taking away their jobs, right? Something like this. You need to make them partners in this transition, like any other consulting transition that we do, right? People feel
Right,
that
humans play a very, like a very important role in this AI field. It's not always about, like doing particular machine work, but we also have to scale up the humans. Yeah.
absolutely. So we need not to change the AI use case. Probably we need to know about the our environment and our problem in our context, and then we need to find the right AI tool for it, and then we have to implement it so that we can get the ROI clarity, and but thereby we get the enterprise value enhancement, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Like Wasim, you have shared very good points from bottleneck to the entire transformation of the ERP to change management and also identifying those factors in the world of manufacturing. So now if we can actually move to Riddhi, if you can share that, like the financial services in that particular sector, like how do we move from pilot and we can actually scale it up the AI and also create value from that.
Thanks, Soumya. I think it's a bit of a similar journey in financial services also, as we just heard about manufacturing. So, when we started with pilots, right, the biggest question was what is the ROI? And as you move forward, and the technology also progressed significantly, every couple of weeks you see something new coming out, and there were significant milestones that were achieved. The biggest one that I felt is relatively poorly understood is the fact that AI is not just limited to chat box or getting information, but there is a whole AI agentic systems that you can create, which means it's going to do a lot more for you, and your goals need to be slightly bigger in terms of what the ROI gains need to be. So when I say about agentic AI, you're thinking in terms of success metrics of an entirely large system that you are just looking at and reviewing and getting it done. So, so a lot of companies are still working on pilots with these smaller agents with very specific small tasks. And if we take that same problem and extrapolate it a little bit more and take this entire forward, you start suddenly seeing these ROI gains to be a lot bigger, because these agentic platforms can convert your plans, create plans for you. They're going to choose the appropriate tools. So you have many special models for each of your complex tasks, and then you have a larger model that's going to take care of everything. And that sort of gets you to a success metric. And I think as an industry, we've not envisioned or understood that bigger picture just yet. It is so relatively new, and it's been around only a few months or less than a year, that we are still evolving from it. The challenges are, as Wasim mentioned out, people don't know their systems as well as we think they should. Um, there are operational inefficiencies which AI cannot close on. No system, technology and AI are just tools. Ultimately, what we're solving are business problems. And if you don't understand your business problem, you don't understand that space well, you are going to build a wrong system for it. So I think these are some of the challenges that are there. And this is the misconception that, oh, I'm not getting enough ROI because maybe I'm putting just because I want to implement an AI chatbot there, I'm going to do so with limited knowledge of my own system. But if we solve these two, the gains can be very, very good in obviously deployed in the right places. So that's a little bit of my perspective on it.
No, very good. Like we have got two different perspectives, and today's discussion is actually very interesting because we are taking care of, like financial services on one hand, and exactly opposite. We have the manufacturing, two different spectrum of the industry. So yeah, now let's move to the another question, like Wasim, that you were actually discussing, right? That we need to identify our core areas before we can actually scale AI into an enterprise level. Now, if we talk of manufacturing, right? Where do you see that AI can create value? Let's say, for example, in supply chain, right? Supply chain is one of the core thing now in manufacturing, because actually from manufacturing to production to particular users, right, end users, you need that entire supply chain and you have lots of data, right? How do you see today AI can actually create or generate value in supply chain, in operations, or in procurement?
Yeah, sure. So the first, we have already discussed on this, like wherever the data maturity is higher, that will get transformed first, right? So if I see the manufacturing end to end, there are a lot of processes. There are various processes wherein human dependencies is more, sort of more, and uh, some of the processes have compliance related, you need to maintain some sort of data, so that you can maintain those compliances, right? Like for example, the financial compliances. Now, if we go about, like, go from this perspective, like what you, from AI, what are you going to get, like, achieve? The thing is, you need to see from data that where are the gaps, where are the inefficiencies, where am I lagging. So those kind of nudges probably you want, wherein you would like to take some actions, right? And sometime, like, later down the line, probably you would like to automate those actions as well by defining your, structured workflows. So to start off with, where do you, like, see the immediate value creation? I would say in the transactional processes first, in the transactional functions first, wherein there is a transaction which is being placed, right? And there are the functions which have more structured workflow, more repetitive workflow, right? And data availability is relatively better than the other functions, right? And those are somewhat like the promoter also wants them to be digitized. And also from the compliance perspective, it is necessary to be digitized, because then only you would be able to do justice with the compliance system. So I would say, like, the supply chain procurement part are the first one which can get disrupted by the AI, because uh, like the process itself is like PR to maybe RFQ to PO automation are somewhat already there in some of the cases, wherein we freeze a vendor for the long term, and certain the inventory goes below level, certain levels, the PO automatically gets placed. Some sort of automations are already there in those areas, right? So
Right.
those are the areas wherein I see it will disrupt in a huge manner, right? Then comes the probably the vendors, like vendor performance. You need to analyze the data, and then only you see that how the vendor is performing really. So that data is already available, because you are also entering the when you have placed the PO, when did you get the material, right? What are the payment terms? How your procurement is distributed among your vendors? How many suppliers you have for a particular item, right? And so many of the companies, many of the larger firms do the spend cube analysis, wherein they see that how do they can reduce their direct cost, indirect cost, right? In that, they nothing but they do the data analysis only. Like, where do I see any insight from the data analysis? Those data analysis can be uh, taught to the AI models, and the AI in the real time can tell you, right, in future, like, that you probably need to have distributed vendors in this particular material category, right? So that you know the market price, because you have been buying from constantly one vendor, you do not discover the price, right? It is not necessarily the price is accurate or the minimum, right? So I would say that the supply chain and procurement will remain the early adopter. Inventory is the another thing, like it is also the transactional one, because you need to have it is the business needs to keep their inventory uh, in the tracking, so monitored basically, so that you need to have systems which can track the inventory, which can let you know that this item is already in the inventory, probably doesn't need to go in the production order, right? So those set of intelligence and are can be built around SCM and the inventory system. So obviously this will translate into the commercial decision making only, right? So
Right.
again, what all things you do around the SCM, the demand forecasting part, probably the price optimization, all these are analysis based. So you do some
Mhm.
sort of analysis, you take some sort of data, right? Wherein I see like that there is a huge opportunity within the core process. There is a probably the it has not been developed probably, but it will be developed soon, is the quality checks that I see, because it is again the standardized, as it will be standardized as per the customer specifications, right? So there is a human which is doing right now probably the measurement and all. Many of the measurements and many of the quality checks are already automated in many of the organizations. So the data can be collected in each of the cases, probably the image recognition, all are getting huge advancement. So the defect detection and all these things will happen soon in the going forward. So the another area I would see is the quality manufacturing operation will also adopt the AI, because you won't have any option but to compete with others, right? In order to reduce your cost, you will eventually opt for it, but it will be a gradual transition in the manufacturing core process in some of the industry. And then there are some of in the industry, like maybe power is already like high, on the higher side of automation. They can be the immediate adopter in terms of core manufacturing process, but in the larger manufacturing industry, I would say they would be the gradual one, because it is more dependent on the human, right? And you
Right.
you don't have data maturity in those processes. So to summarize this, basically this is what I think, like that already digitized, already structured, already data matured functions will be the first one. And there also you will see the you will be able to calculate ROI faster, and you will see the change happens faster.
Right. And also, I would say that like you have mentioned about the quality control checks, that will play a very important role also in manufacturing, right? Because at the end, you actually manufacture, produce, and procure, then you have to ensure that it makes like certain quality checks. So I think over there, AI will also play a very good role. So, and you have also covered that. Yeah, I completely agree on that point. So now let's move to financial services. So, Riddhi, how do you distinguish, right, that AI can actually improve efficiency and at the same time keeping in mind the risk and the compliance? Because financial services, there are a lot of confidential data, there are a lot of personal informations, right? And with the use of AI, how do we improve that? Yes, we are becoming more efficient, but we also need to, like keep a check on the risk and also on the compliance part of it.
So I think it boils down to what your success metrics are and what your measurement criteria is. If you have these two nailed out, the journey becomes much easier when you look at these. So, in some use cases where you're looking at only bringing efficiency and that you're looking at a low risk, um, employee chatbots or coding agents, all internal tools which are relatively low risk, the margin for error is much lower. So what you're saying in these cases is, okay, the tool improved my productivity. I used AI. So now I'm at 15%. or I could be at 20%, it's still a net gain, right? The gain is still, the primary goal is still ROI. But when it comes to thinking about higher risk applications, whether it's fraud detection, whether it's compliance surveillances, whether it's any of these client risk identifiers, your cost of failure is extremely high. There is a big penalty you would pay for any sort of legal action, fines, loss of trust, all under the umbrella of uh, operational as well as reputation risk. So the reputation risk is such an important thing that you need to really safeguard these high risk applications. So how do we do that? Let me just elaborate with an example. If you were to keep your safeguards in place and still get those gains for high risk applications. So typically in the industry, you would look at two important criteria, which is precision recall. There are others, but these are very widely used. So what does precision mean? So when, let's say, an AI alert is flagging and saying, oh, this transaction, this client, or this particular process, or anything is high risk, how do you segregate the noise and operational fatigue? You're saying out of 100 times AI flagged, AI was able to correctly identify 80% of the times. So, or 40% of the time. So that's what you're measuring. But at the same time, you have a guardrail around it, which is you measure recall. Recall is how many times did your system not capture a high risk client or a transaction or any fraudulent activity. Now, in those systems, it becomes very important that you maintain something like 90% of the times I'm able to, 95% of the times able to, and you build enough systems to not just do a one-time test, but do testing on a monitoring regular basis. So if your model is hallucinating, degrading, there is a bias that got introduced over time when you're using these um, sophisticated models, you want to know about it. You want to go in and fix it. So you're constantly monitoring and measuring your governance, it's in place or not. So I think that's how you want to look at it to keep and stay safe among other infrastructure aspects. But this is how I would focus on building any
High
application
risk.
around.
No, I think you have also mentioned a very important point on testing, right? That continuous testing is very much required to keep things in checks and balances. So now if I can also add one follow-up questions on that what are the most common blockers that you see in data technology or in governance, right? Majorly from an AI operating model, right? That is actually designed to prevent AI from scaling beyond proof of concept. Like you have a very good concept, but you actually are facing, like some challenges to implement that in your enterprise because of governance or because of data technology. What do you see are, like the blockers
I'll
in
add,
today's financial services?
so the biggest one that I see is not giving the right importance to data. What AI does is it basically amplifies how good your data quality and governance is. And the reason, and we've heard so much about hallucination, right? So if
Absolutely.
your data is, there's a term we use on a day-to-day basis, is garbage in and garbage out. You feed garbage to the model, you are going to get something garbage out. But the dangerous part of it is AI makes it so believable. And when it hallucinates, you actually think that this is factual data. So the risk is it can just be bad judgment for you, but it can also turn into bad, dangerous decisions for you. So you need to have constant monitoring, constant data quality, data governance, your entire identifying data quality critical elements throughout your chain. And in large enterprises, that is something they all struggle with. So, and data is not given the right of, see, it does not need to be perfect, but it needs to be above a certain quality threshold to say it is acceptable. And if you don't know those thresholds and you don't have metrics and monitoring around it, it's only going to amplify when you build on top of that with AI layers.
Right.
I'll pause here with data if Wasim wants to talk more about the infrastructure or anything.
Yeah, and also, like before we go to OSIM, like in particular financial services, if you can also share,
Sure.
like now that we have this entire data privacy law, right? Across India, we have this new data privacy law. We have GDPR, which is, like widely and commonly known. We have the US, like certain states like, like California data. Do you see that sometimes data democratization is also can be a blocker when we actually try to scale AI? Because AI backend uses a lot of data, and in financial services, we are dealing with lot of PII data.
So there are multiple strategies around it. Um, Not all PII data needs to necessarily go through your models. So many times you sort of mask that data and send it to your models. There are multiple strategies. So one is you stop it at the source itself. If you want to leverage systems beyond, the approved ones, want to use public infrastructure. So you can definitely mask a lot of it, obscure it. Um, Data has to be encrypted in transition. It has to be encrypted on rest. So there are practices around that. Not all applications even need LLMs. You can have very small, powerful models that are good enough for your applications, and you don't need to probably go into that whole realm of how do I manage all of this. It can be something very, very simple, as just spinning up a few, 2, 3 machines, a couple of GPUs, and that can pretty much be a private cloud in itself. If you're dealing with the private data, the non-private data, if you have your segregation done well, can also be another strategy you can use, and you know, data can be democratized in that way.
True. Okay, I think you've shared. So now let's move to Wasim, and it's a question to Wasim and Riddhi both. And let's start with Wasim first. That that we were actually discussing about the AI thing, how we can keep the human element also over there. So how should leaders prepare their teams for AI, right? Now that AI, we are discussing about the AI proof case and the use case. How do you think that the leaders should prepare their teams for AI? What skills matters most and what should be automated? Like versus what should be kept under human judgment. So Wasim, if you can start, followed by Riddhi.
Right. So, like, I define AI as a collective intelligence. We all human have generated so much of data. Now we try converting that data into a model so that we can reach to a collective mind, wherein if we give it a new data to it, then it will sort of give us the correct output based on the collective intelligence of all human or all data that we have generated, right? So, and obviously it was refined from the so much of training and all, right? So now we have, since we have a collective intelligence, now we need to only train with respect to the our context, right? So for a CEO or for a promoter, how do they define their business? I think even if for like stock picking, how do you choose the stock? Which stock would you choose first? Probably the one which is showing the higher growth in revenues, having maybe higher margins, having very lean working capital, right? So these are the matrices for the CEO, for the promoters and the business leaders, when they answer to their boardrooms, right? This is what how we are running our business. So we are probably in the top tier. This is how they segregate, right? So it will again lead to the enterprise value and the bottleneck that they are hitting in their business day to day, right? With respect to the target they are taking or their competitors are doing, right? Where exactly they are hitting the bottlenecks first has to be always the bottleneck in your context, right? in your business, that has to be the high priority area, no matter whatever the technology may be. Could be for industry 4.0, could be AI, could be anything like down the line, right? Next one is like strengthening the next area which a CEO or business head should look at is the strengthening their data layers, strengthening each of the functions. They must take up some plan, some actions wherein they can strengthen their data maturity in those functions. Right now, when I talk to many of the clients, they say ki yes, हमारे पास we have all the data in the function, but still not able to capture the insights, like what action do I need to take to improve it. So that kind of data they have, right? It is insignificant, it is not relevant, it is sort of giving them update only. They are not giving any actionable insight, getting any actionable insight out of it. So data which can give you the actionable insight is the data which they need to ensure should float from the bottom to top, right? Then so that basically they can link their financial statement to the primary data which is being generated at the shop floor, right? And it is accurately being transported probably to that balance sheet or to that P&L statement, right? Many a time there is so much of data manipulation by the human, because again human performance is also being judged on those data points, right? So how do you capture the data firsthand? Probably now it becomes very important that the IoT applications would become very important, right? Wherein you take up the data firsthand. Nobody can manipulate really the data, right? Also, you're capturing the data first of all. Like this is the primary requirement. Even it is being manipulated right now, that's okay, but you need to really correct it going forward. But first take the data, like primary data, which you are thinking right now is insignificant, but that is the one feedstock, like Ritesh mentioned, for your decision making, for your single mind. Right now you are as a business owner, even without AI, like you need to do that. So with AI, like AI would be able to correlate what it will probably in future provide recommendation. The recommendation market is already over for the consultant, I feel, right? Because only thing like what do I do as a consultant? I go and take up data from the organization and do the analysis, right? And I would say like consultants are nothing but the brain for the organization, right? For the specific area. So if the brain is already available, right, in the form of AI, what you need to do is provide the right feedstock to it so that it can provide the right insights. So this could be the second their priority as a business leader. Third one, this change management is very important thing, because they should not feel that they are not part of it, right? So you need to train your employees in the cutting edge technology so that they feel that they are being trained in something which is the relevant tech revolution which is happening right now. First they become part of it, right? You you do Kaizen in your manufacturing at this point in time, in the old times as well. Something like this you do with the AI initiative, wherein you tell them that what all repetitive tasks that they are seeing, what all tasks which take up your lot of time, which needs to be automated. Those ideas they can provide to you, and you reward them, you recognize them, you provide a certificate to them, right? And don't just, even if you automate something, don't just let them go. You make them supervise it, you make them correct it and you give some commitment to your employees as well, that for 2 years we won't let you go, whatever the case may be, right? So that they also can feel like they have some stability within the organization. Also, they're learning together, like along with the transition. If they are good at it, then you definitely they would become the valuable part of the organization, right? So second thing, I think like this is the change management and the parallel preparedness, preparing your organization for this change.
The adopting AI, right? Like
Yes,
preparing the, yeah.
yes,
Okay,
so that they also participate in it, right?
absolutely.
And I think this is the major concern as well for all the employees right now, especially in the coding community right now. We are seeing like every day we see that there is a 10% layoff or for 30% layoff happening, right?
Mm.
It is going to happen someday because humans are not really designed for the repetitive task eventually, because our mind is something which is for the like 11,000 thoughts come a day to in our mind. We are not really for the repetitive task, right? And it we also get sick, tired, whatever it is, right? But probably in the future robots or the machines won't then those things won't have that kind of fatigue, right? And especially the reliability with respect to uh, like machines would have higher reliability in that sense, right? For the repetitive task is what I'm trying to say. So I would say like these are the top priority, and the going from the basic one, people, you should train them, you should make them participate in this change management, uh, let them give you good ideas, reward them, right? And also like primary requirement is strengthen the data foundation of your organization, especially in those areas wherein you have prioritized that these are the bottlenecks.
Okay. And so now I'll quickly move to, like to Riddhi. Riddhi, if you can share from in, like in financial services, how can leaders actually prepare their teams for AI, the skills that's needed most, like in the, like the world of fintech or in the world of finance.
No, I think it's definitely a big thought process change. People today are the doers. Now they all the teams now need to start thinking in terms of being creatives and being reviewers. The doer part is going to be mostly automated. So they need to start thinking of solving for business problems, contributing to the ROI, contributing to customer impact, all of those outcomes more and more. And everybody in the teams need to do that. They need to be more adaptable and openness. And I think Wasim has touched on both of these, and I concur with that. So we need to be more adaptive as a society, as everybody in the workforce adapt to learn. I encourage everybody, including the CEOs, to start going beyond ChatGPT and Google. Build. It's very very easy now to build an app, to build an agent. Run something on your computer that's going to give you your list of leads or list of calendar, list of prioritizations, whatever efficiency you need to bring to your day. Just explore that. Sit with a all you need is YouTube and a laptop, and you can achieve that very easily. Um, we don't need people to build you small, easy apps. You can build them yourself today. I highly encourage everybody to do that. Um, and
Interesting.
I think,
So yeah,
yeah,
please go ahead. Yeah. No,
good,
I
good.
think I think that you have mentioned, like a very interesting point that, it actually focuses more on like actually building, like an app or things on AI, right? Doing things hands-on.
Yep. Because it's I love the fact that it's changed for needing somebody to know that coding language or syntax where it used to be to somebody who's just expressing what they want. And that is an industry change that we are seeing with a lot of companies like Razorpay, with Goldman Sachs, with multiple companies that I'm talking to. That earlier we used to have product teams and tech teams. Now the product teams who are not technical are able to define the products they want to build. They quickly test it out with a pilot set of customers, and then they tell the tech teams to go ahead and deploy it. it's come to that state. So it gives the power to try things out, do that A/B testing, come back, say, yeah, this is working in the market, this is not working in the market. How do I change the feature set? What apps I'm building? And I think that's the power for every non-developer who can easily build that. But you do need in an enterprise setting some set of tooling around that to enable your teams to do it. So if leaders decide to adopt AI, I think that tooling becomes more and more important, and setting that role model standard also becomes important. Eventually, what happens is people start thinking with creativity. They identify their own frictions in their day-to-day business outcome that they want to achieve. And those frictions, when they have these tools, they start taking care of them because they don't want to depend on other teams to resolve their own frictions. They build these out quickly. So I think empowering people with teams and a right direction, um, will automatically build these skill set out as well.
Yeah. Okay. So now that we have come, like exactly at the fag end of today's panel discussion, and before moving to the larger Q&A floor, I would actually take an opportunity to, like ask to Ridhi and to Wasim that what are the top three action items, right? Or top three action items that you want to advise to a CEO or a business head in financial services and in manufacturing. So, Riddhi, over to you.
So if you put a time limit, right, in it, let's say we have 90 days or to do something. First thing I would suggest is first 30 days, um, whether you are adopting AI or you're not adopting AI, I would recommend that we should fix if you have technical systems in your firm, fix the cybersecurity aspect of it.
Mhm.
Whether you adopt or not, your adversaries have already done that. Make your systems secure. First of all, find out if they are secure or not. With more and more powerful models like we've heard about coming from Anthropic and others, cybersecurity becomes a real threat, and all your systems can go down, and you can have massive data loss. So first, fix the cybersecurity aspect, fix your tech risk aspect. Second is, I would say, you have to identify where your gains are. AI does not and cannot solve for everything. It should not be applied everywhere. But identifying the key points in your business can make the difference between a Ferrari and an Alto. So you can drive very, very fast in those certain areas and with the biggest impact. But there are places where you would rather not touch and let them be at that slow space. So I think auditing of uh, where your AI applications should be is the critical part. Understanding what AI can do for your business. I think closing that gap is also important. And the whole third thing in the next, say, last 30 days, I would say is you need to have a demystification exercise or a show. There will be a lot of resistance in many cases, even after the pilots, even after everything, because everybody feels that AI will replace them. But the adoption, the fear also comes from lack of understanding to some extent. So once you see the augmentation that can happen in a lot of applications with how people can be the creative and the reviewers, along with how AI can be the execution arm. If we start looking at it like that and close those knowledge gaps, I think adoption can be a lot easier, and you are at a better position competing with your competitors in the industry to really succeed at this. So I think if we do this in the first few days, you have a road to success. Provided, just one last thing I would like to add is think of AI like you're on a highway. Okay, you're running your business with velocity. Now, in order to stay with that velocity, and keep up with your competitors and keep up with efficiencies. Every highway has a lot of guardrails, right? You have ramp-ons, ramp-offs, you have signage, um, you have paramedics, patrolling, all of those things. Similarly, invest in governance, invest in data, invest in infrastructure for that long-term journey when you want the momentum. It will be expensive upfront and it will feel like, yes, we don't have an ROI, but that will pay off down the line.
Okay, yes, okay, great. I think you have shared the top three actions for like a business head or a CEO is to fix the cybersecurity, right? The tech risk, and then actually, like demystifying the things and also invest uh, in using or actually in the adopting the AI. Right. So now we'll quickly move to Wasim. Wasim, what are the top three actions that you want to advise to a CEO or a business head in a manufacturing sector?
Yeah, for sure. I think I agree with Riddhi. First, they need to really learn AI, just learn the use cases in other organization wherever it has been done, so that they can understand what is the impact it is having. And also probably organize a training session for their team members, at least for the manager and above layers, so that they also can understand, right, what is the change which is happening in the world, right? Right now it is towards the coding area. Probably if in future it will be uh, like it is generating the code. It is going to get at the workflow level wherein the agents are being placed to do the automated work, right? Supposedly generating code, deploying it, maybe testing it, something like this, right? No human would be involved at all. This is going to be a feature which whether we like it or not, right? So I would say the first one is to learn AI and organize a probably training session for their team members. Another one, like I mentioned earlier, I would repeat it, like to identify their own context. First, what all your bottlenecks, why your growth is like hitting a wall, what all those areas. Identify like understand your own business very well first, and for that the data maturity is very very important, because it is the way through which the consultant learn, like what they need to improve, how much they can improve it, right? The last one I would say, like organize all your ideas and see that how you can because they have been, like I would share one story. Like there was once investor, uh, like major investor in US. Like he has been on the Twitter, very active user of the Twitter, but he has been an active investor. So he wants to like keep bookmark on each idea which like kind of new, right? He probably wants to invest in those ideas. So he had this habit that he would bookmark every new idea. So but what happens afterwards? Nothing really. So you bookmark it, you never go to the bookmark again. It is the general human tendency. So one day he was sitting and then he was thinking about it, about the new ideas. So he thought, like, where do I keep my probably ideas? So he remembered, like, I generally bookmark them. So he started from scratch, like Riddhi mentioned, learned basically how to probably create an agent which can take up, like he went to the bookmark section, there was 10,000 ideas. First of all, 10,000 bookmarks. Now he won't understand, like what would he do like with those 10,000 bookmarks. So he like learned how to generate an agent like who can work for him to kind of sort them. First of all, like the idea content is already there or not. Sometimes the link is dead link, right? So or maybe the content was removed, so those sorting was done by the agent. Then the filing of them, like which is relevant right now as per the AI, like what does it think, and lastly, like which needs to be prioritized at this juncture, which he should take up first, right? And because by the time it has been like maybe 5 years, so by the time the situation has changed a lot. So in the current scenario, what is the potential that the 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 market thinks, or the general audience see? So the agent did that job for him, right? So basically he organized his ideas and he's able to take some action on it. So this is the simple thing, I think, which everybody needs to know as a business owner, that they need to learn the use cases, and they need to organize their own idea and then pass it on to the, and like apply it in your context. I think this is the basic thing I would say.
Okay, great. So now that we have reached this point, I think, like today's panel discussions was really great. We have got many new anecdotes and all key outcomes from both the business leaders, let's say from financial services as well as to manufacturing. So this has been quite an insightful, like session, I would say. So now that we are on time, I would, like open this floor for Q&A to the larger audience. So anybody have any questions to our panelists, Riddhi, Wasim, if please
Yes,
unmute yourself and feel free to ask questions.
yes, I do have a good question. I feel you'll appreciate it. See, you have been talking in this forum about ROI, time downturn, and quality management. Okay. On the contrary, we have also observed the provisions of deviation, data piracy, all these things. Now, my question starts with the concept that do you feel there should be a strong statutory norms crafted by the economy, and based on those statutory norms, every company, suppose it may be for Riddhi, it may be for Wasim, they should have their own rules and regulation for implementing the same concept of AI. Because see, and secondly, just like ISO or AAA certification, you should have some certification process where we can apply AI product and give a certification. This is a genuine product. This is not a fake product. Where we can save ourselves from deep fake or any other type of piracy or any other type of fraud concept or any other something like that. What is your concept? What is your view about the same? Should we have some certification, and can it be beneficial for safety and security of human beings of our economy? Secondly, can judicial also use AI application after that with the needful certification? So these are the main issues I need to get the answer and request the answer from Riddhi as well as Wasim.
Sure, I can take some of it.
Yeah,
And I think that's definitely the need of the hour.
yeah,
For example, this would come under the bucket of a very high risk kind of use cases that you mentioned, right?
yes,
Whether in legal, for example, in legal, there have been cases in the past where people used AI, it hallucinated, generated garbage, and that was taken to the courts. And it was something that we should not allow, because there is some amount of accountability that the lawyers need to have. Having said that, um, it should be used as a tool with the humans around it, in cases of legal, especially in cases where the accountability needs to be there. So these aspects definitely, when it comes to deep fakes and rights of creative people, their work is getting taken by AI, rewritten. So copyright issues is a big problem that needs to be taken up and added as a law for sure. Um, there should be, as every industry evolves, as the tech industry evolve, all these certifications about security, ISO, all of these also evolved. I think that's a natural progression that we see will happen eventually, but I think the laws definitely need to be addressed first, to protect trademarks, to protect people, identities, and so on and so forth.
Okay,
That
so
is my
you mean to
perspective.
say there should be defined statutory norms by the Constitution.
Yeah.
Based on those statutory norms, every organization, it may be yours or it may be Wasim's, it doesn't make any difference. They should have strong rules and regulation for implementing the same. And same as I discussed with you, that you should have a certification. The product has to be certified by the, suppose if I am getting a product in the market, I am getting a certified with ISO product. Same with AI and all, you should have a certification that has not yet come up to the date, right? So that should come. So you are strong in favor of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I strictly strongly believe in responsible and ethical AI.
Yeah.
And I think without that, but I think, with all laws and regulation,
Hmm.
they move much slower than the industry typically.
Hmm.
With cyber laws also, we still see a big gap.
Hmm.
I hope that we close the gap sooner than later, because the consequences are much larger in this case.
Yeah, but it is going to solve the safety and security issues of human being as well as the society. Am I right, Riddhi?
Yeah.
Secondly, one more important question I would like to stress in this part. Nowadays, we are observing day by day, we are enhancing towards the total digitalization processes, right? That is AI, complete AI. We are going to the complete AI part. Just, I'll let you know, just recently, many of the observers we have observed, even in some panel discussion, even in some implementation processes in industry, I have come across people who started saying that this part should be done manually and this part should be given to the AI, right? Now there are many processes in machinery where AI cannot be implemented as on date, right? Now I let you know about China. 2 days earlier, China has issued a notice to its people that there is a drastic cut in the human manpower. So they have issued that every application cannot be implemented with AI. Don't you feel the world will observe the same situation someday or other in the near future? Just what China is doing right now? You might have heard it. You might have heard this
Yeah.
news.
See, it's like when we faced the automation era, there
Hmm.
was a whole disruption that did happen,
Okay,
right?
okay.
And people did pivot from those manual bank entry kind of written tasks to getting more upskilled and
Hmm.
started using computers to start using automations.
Hmm.
So that disruption will happen. It's not going to be favorable to a lot of people, unfortunately.
Hmm.
But at the same time, just having that blanket application that AI will solve everything is absolutely. If someone is telling you that, then there's something missing there. The lack of understanding, because AI cannot solve everything. There are so many applications where humans, in fact, in most of the applications, AI will be an augment that you can use like your own team and be empowered to work with AI, as opposed to if it completely has a separate process. Those are very low risk ones. So humans will have to be center of things, and those humans which do get displaced will have to upskill and work around that, and there will be more job creations. Like, I think 20 years ago we didn't know the new era of
Yeah.
freelancers and digital marketers, and so the world does adapt and move and find something new and creative, because that's how the human mind is. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
so I'm
agree with you.
positive on
But
that.
even then, Wasim and Didi, I want to know that should we intentionally keep some of the means micro specific machinery work where human force is essentially required? Human force is required for other purpose also, maybe for good health, maybe for good digestion, it may be for many reasons, maybe for some employment purpose or maybe for any other. Don't you feel that some of
Sanjay,
the work, some of the major work should be left out for human force too, for the mechanical force to work in a manual process?
I think that's a broader question,
Yeah.
whether you want to let capitalism drive everything versus whether you want
Yeah,
regulation to sort of pace it.
I like
Yeah,
to
but
address something
open to that.
because,
Yeah.
sir, what would like it eventually we will opt for the higher efficiency or higher effectiveness sort
Yeah,
of system, right?
yeah, I do agree with you.
Our inclination, whatever the we are inclined to right now, the
Mhm.
human, because the inclination would also change by the time. We are seeing the changes around us, and soon after, like, we will have more changes around us. So our mind will also shift towards that we are, because even for the surgical things, we are going to use probably the robots. We are not
Yeah,
able,
we are using it.
very
Yeah.
sensitive area, right? The
Yes, yes, we are using.
pain surgeries are very hard right now for the even for the current surgeons. So even there we are doing using the robots and everything, right?
Yes, agreed.
We will get accustomed to things soon, right? Probably in the sensitive areas, it will be done later on with the responsibility that, like, one of the case happened in the Australia. Probably the government has given some contract to EY, and then there was a
Deloitte.
consultant presented some data which was fakely generated by the AI, right? And then they were penalized in the courts. They had to
Yes.
give their like, yeah, so all those things happened, right? So I would say, like, wherever the responsibility, you have a responsibility to provide some service, and some like personal information and data, all these things are there. So for those sensitive areas, there can be a norm, there can be a law wherein it can protect all those things, so that you can navigate through this time. And for your internal processes, your for internal if like efficiency gains, you can probably use AI extensively. For now, probably for those part wherein the sensitivity is there, we can adopt later, maybe by the time we can build, and we can see on the trial basis how accurate are we, and then onwards probably we can deploy.
Okay. You mean to say both the concept can run together for a time being, and then we can see the situation and be the needful, right? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Sanjay ji. So anyone else from
Yeah,
our participants? Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. One question is that many people tend to talk about AI, ML, and deep learning. When they talk about AI, it's more about the tools, and then there is machine learning and deep learning. So I would like to hear, I mean, this is an excellent conversation. So I'd like to hear your viewpoint from any one of you on whether this is the right approach, because there is so much of hype around AI tools that we actually miss the foundational elements which comes through machine learning and deep learning. This is one question. The second question is, there is already so much of overhead in technology. For instance, we have already data management is a big overhead with all the lakes and all of that stuff happening. And we are talking about rebuilding. I mean, to deploy AI, we also need data warehouses and all of that. So we are actually going back retro before we actually deploy AI. So what is the overhead that comes with AI? Because there is cybersecurity on one side, analytics is happening on one side. So there is so much of overhead. On top of that, AI brings another set of overhead. So what's your view on that?
I think the overhead part probably because I'm working as a manufacturing consultant, sort of, like, I would not be able to comment on the first part, but on the second part, because again it depends on the ROI. Like, if the overheads justify that what is the outcome that they are going to get, it will come shortly, and will give you maybe multifold return in that sense, right? So that will be well accepted across the industry, as long
Okay.
as it gives you the returns. And on the first part, I guess I have a limited understanding, but I would say, like, the first two, like deep learning and the machine learning you mentioned, and the neural net sort of
Yeah, it's more from that quest. That comment is more from whatever I've been reading as part of my research. I'm a research scholar also. So
yeah.
is more centered around how to build the right LLMs or SLMs. Because if that is not done, many organizations are jumping into pilots and all of that without understanding those nuances. And I think rightly what Riddhi mentioned on data privacy and all of that. So when that is not understood, so organization boundaries will get crossed, and then companies, data can get compromised. So, and the strategy should include all these three is what I'm I mean, I'm trying to understand Grapple. That's why I asked both of you.
Yeah, I would say
So,
it is a like amalgamation of all these three, like deep learning or neural nets, all or machine learning. Like AI, we are collectively calling it maybe at the advanced level probably, right? And by like Riddhi can take it up.
yeah, I can take that. So AI is more of a broader umbrella of terms of artificial intelligence, which started actually back in the 1950s with this scientist called Turing, who started with the new concepts. And the idea was that can we have systems which will sort of learn on its own? And neural networks, which is the foundation of your large language models, have been around for the longest time, and they have been used in natural language processing for a long time. What accelerated recently, and we call these as AI tools, but AI is like I said, it's a much broader umbrella under which this popularized because of there was a couple of very interesting, strong papers around transformers and learning around them, and the whole large. Uh, I think the research sort of built on top of that over the years to get you that infrastructure, and infrastructure powered everything along with the science that came about. So that combination sort of now we sort of take it like the chocolate with Cadbury kind of way and say these are AI tools. But machine learning models have been used in your flight tickets, in financial analysis, in fraud detection, in cybersecurity, in all various aspects of the industry, even in manufacturing, I believe, where you're trying to efficiently cut across a sheet for the longest time. And it has just now evolved with these language models come about to a much deeper level. So deep learning is so in machine learning we sort of divide into two concepts. One is supervised learning and unsupervised learning. By supervised learning is sort of you're giving those models some ground truth that this is what I expect when these are the different dimension parameters. And now you figure it out how to train it, and these are tagged by humans. So this is supervised, and you keep constant control over when the training is happening. Unsupervised is more around certain parameters are defined, and the model sort of learns itself, and neural networks are part of that unsupervised learning. So this is the three different concepts sort of I wanted to touch about. And to answer your other part of the second question, if I understood it correctly, I think what me and Wasim were and Soumya we were focusing on is that um, the data is the foundation of any automation. It has always been your financial reports to your audit reports, your compliance reports, all of them need to have the right numbers, counting numbers under it. And that's where your accounting softwares are critical, your inventory numbers are critical, all of that. And this becomes the infrastructure layer very important. I think we're just trying to focus that these three are foundational for better outcomes and the right use of AI for the right applications. And those are also very fastly evolving. For example, I know you, Mr. Ranga, you mentioned data warehousing. We are moving away from data warehousing to the likes of things like Snowflake in the industry. Earlier, what used to happen in large enterprises, your data would move from one system to another system to a third system, and you would have copies and copies of data, and you have no idea where it's coming from, how it's coming, what is getting calculated, what is the pricing model, all of that. And today we are moving into the place where data stays one copy, one time, but you have a lot of computation available to you because it's become cheaper. So you calculate whatever you need on the fly, and you use that. So everything is evolving, everything is moving, and we are on the bandwagon.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
I hope that answers your question to some
Yes,
extent.
it does. It does. But then these are all active debates which are going on in the industry. Like a few years back, I published a paper on enterprise data grids, and that's a start point. Many companies don't even, when we went and surveyed companies, along with another colleague of mine, we did that survey. I found that people are not even thinking of what is my active data flows, and there is stuff in R&D, there is active, which is your enterprise grid, and there is assets which are long term. So when I called out the term data warehouse, it's not in the old sense, but it's how people are evolving. Otherwise, today what is happening, or everything is thrown into a data lake, assuming we'll need it perpetually. So there is a cost to all this. There's an overhead to all this.
Yes.
And as each technology comes in, it adds more overhead. So that is the point I was trying to make. Anyway, thank you for your clarification. I think this is a much larger subject, so there are many small pieces that need to be discussed. So thank you so much.
Sure. Happy to have an offline conversation if you're interested. That'd be nice.
Well, sure. We can do that.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you to all of you. I think, this entire topic is very interesting and people have so much of questions, so much of inputs, and there's like a lot of discussion that is actively happening, in our own lives also on this entire topic of AI and what are the benefits it's going to bring into our to our life. So I think we are way past over time, so I just want to take this moment to thanks to both to Ridhi and to Wasim for a beautiful session on AI, on the major key aspects that we have learned, and also what are the the action items that we can take up. And we have all the key moments over here also, with followed up questions from our guests over here. So really thanks to all of you, and thanks to the entire team for making this particular panel discussion a success. So I would call it a wrap then.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Soumya. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, Wasim.